Imagine waking up to the news that your personal data from a company you trust has just been exposed. It's a modern fear, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
Data breaches are just constant headlines these days, almost, feels inevitable sometimes. But what happens after the breach? Especially when it hits the highest levels of a major corporation. Does anyone actually get held accountable?
That's the million-dollar question, really.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into the recent cyber attack on Qantas, the iconic Australian airline. And this wasn't just another data leak. It actually triggered some pretty significant accountability measures right at the very top. And as we sort of peel back the layers, you'll find there's some fascinating financial twists we absolutely need to unpack.
Exactly. We've looked at quite a few sources here, and they lay out a really compelling case study. It shows how a company grapples with a massive security failure, you know. And then there's the very public display of leadership accountability.
Yeah.
And what it all really means when you see it against, well, a backdrop of rising profits.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to look at the specifics, who was penalized, how much,
Yeah.
and what the broader implications are. For corporate governance, sure, but also, crucially, for you, the customer, and your trust.
Okay, let's get right into it then. What exactly happened at Qantas? What sparked this whole crisis?
Okay, so we've learned that a cyber attack was first detected on June 30th. Now, that date's quite significant because it was the final day of Qantas's financial year. And this wasn't some, minor thing. It exposed the personal information of a staggering 5.7 million customers.
Wow, 5.7 million.
Yeah. For an airline, this is huge, one of the largest breaches in its history, impacting a truly massive number of people.
The sheer volume there, the data and the customers involved, it's just striking. Think about it. 5.7 million individuals suddenly having their names, their contact details, maybe even frequent flyer info, potentially compromised.
Right. The implications for those customers, they go beyond just that initial worry. It could lead to, a higher risk of phishing, identity theft, and just that constant need for vigilance to protect yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for Qantas, the reputational fallout from something this big is immediate. It's far-reaching. Now, our sources do say the leadership took immediate steps, contain the breach, secure systems, support affected customers, the usual playbook. But the scale of this particular breach, well, it really demanded something more profound, more public than just the technical fixes.
And that brings us to what happened next, because the response didn't stop at containment. It went right up to the executive suite, didn't it?
It did.
In response to this breach, Qantas announced direct financial penalties for its top brass. The details from our sources show that the CEO, Vanessa Hudson, and 5 other top executive managers were penalized.
Okay.
The total forfeiture, $800,000. Breaking that down, CEO Vanessa Hudson personally forfeited $250,000 of her compensation. And the other 5 executives, they collectively lost $550,000. $800,000 in total penalties. That sounds like a significant figure, right? Especially for individual.
It does sound significant, and it immediately makes you wonder, doesn't it? For executives at that level, how truly impactful is a sum like $800,000?
Yeah.
Is it a genuine deterrent, or is it more about making a public statement? Our sources say the Qantas chair, John Mullen, gave the rationale. He said, and I'm quoting here loosely, "This decision demonstrates our commitment to creating a culture of accountability and ownership."
Accountability and ownership.
And he emphasized a zero-tolerance approach to lapses in governance.
Zero tolerance. Strong words.
Very strong. It certainly sounds like a clear message, but the real question is what message is actually received by the market, by shareholders, and importantly, by you, the customer. It suggests they're trying to show the board is serious about governance, especially now when public trust in corporations isn't always sky high.
And the context for these penalties, it's kind of fascinating because it came amidst surprisingly strong financial performance for Qantas.
Yeah, that's the twist.
Which makes the whole situation even more complex and, frankly, a bit ironic, doesn't it? This massive cyber breach happening right when the airline's posting really strong financials.
Exactly.
Reports show Qantas reported a 15% increase in profit.
15%.
Reaching a whopping $2.4 billion for the year ended that June. That's a huge figure.
Huge.
And the reasons they gave: robust demand for air travel, everyone rushing back after the pandemic.
Yep. revenge travel.
Coupled with effective cost management. So things were looking good on the books.
This really throws a spotlight on that the delicate balance every big company faces today.
Yeah.
The tension between driving strong financial results, keeping shareholders happy, and maintaining robust customer trust, keeping you happy and safe.
Right. Two different priorities almost.
Almost. And this incident just underscores the multifaceted challenges. Cybersecurity isn't some isolated tech issue anymore. It's deeply linked with reputation, with regulatory compliance, and ultimately with the company's market value. So this juxtaposition, soaring profits, severe data breach, it forces us to ask how companies are prioritizing things. Are they seen as putting profits ahead of customer data security? Or is this a genuine, if maybe clumsy, effort to address both? It really highlights the complexity of running a modern global business.
Okay, now let's circle back to those executive penalties. Because we dug up a critical piece of information that, well, it really shifts how you might see this accountability.
Ah, yes. There's more to it.
While $250,000 sounds like a lot of money to forfeit, especially for one person, the data we looked at shows a much more nuanced picture of CEO Vanessa Hudson's total pay package. Turns out, despite forfeiting that $250,000, Hudson's overall remuneration for the year actually rose. It went up to a $6.31 million.
Went up?
Yes, up substantially from her $4.38 million the previous year.
Wow. Okay, so how does that work?
Well, the reason was largely performance-linked pay and incentives.
Ah, the bonuses.
Exactly. So while one chunk of her compensation was cut specifically because of the cyber attack,
Right, the penalty part.
other parts, tied to the company's strong financial performance, those big profits we mentioned more than made up the difference. Considerably more.
Okay, this isn't just a Qantas story then, is it? This really shines a light on how executive compensation structures often work. They can kind of decouple these announced penalties from the actual total financial impact on the executive.
Seems like it.
So for you, the informed observer, it shows that maybe true accountability needs to be measured differently. Not just by the forfeited bonus amount, but by the net change in that executive's overall pay packet for the year.
Good point.
It makes you question if these public gestures, these penalties, are truly about consequences, or maybe more about managing public perception.
Yeah.
While the performance incentives quietly outweigh the so-called punishment.
Yeah.
When an executive's total compensation still goes up significantly, despite a declared penalty for a major failure, it really makes you question that zero-tolerance phrase the chair used.
It does dilute the message. Somewhat.
It highlights this ongoing tension, doesn't it, between symbolic accountability and the real financial hit, or lack thereof, for the people at the top.
And this whole cyber incident, these accountability measures, they don't happen in a vacuum, do they?
No, context is key.
The material we reviewed also mentioned broader issues Qantas has been grappling with. This seems like part of a larger story for the airline.
Like what?
Well, for instance, Qantas apparently received some sharp criticism from an Australian federal court judge who raised concerns specifically about the company's corporate culture.
Okay, so pre-existing concerns about culture.
Exactly. And on top of that, there was already a governance overhaul launched last year. The stated aim was improving transparency and accountability within Qantas.
Right, so they were already trying to address some internal issues before this breach.
Seems that way. So this isn't just a one-off event hitting a perfectly run company. It's layered on top of existing scrutiny about how the company operates its internal culture.
Which makes you ask then, how do all these pieces fit together? You've got the cyber attack, you've got the specific executive penalties with that, important detail about total pay, you've got the rising profits, and you've got this pre-existing scrutiny of culture and governance. How does all that paint a complete picture of the challenges Qantas is facing?
It sounds pretty complex.
It really highlights the tangled web of reputational challenges, doesn't it? You've got governance concerns, regulatory scrutiny, and now a major cybersecurity failure. The penalties, even with their nuances about overall pay, look like a calculated move. They're trying to signal they're prioritizing cultural reform alongside profitability, as one source put it.
Right, trying to show they care about both.
It's a very public statement that the company understands it needs to address both its financial success and its fundamental operational integrity. This isn't just about bouncing back from a data breach. It's about trying to rebuild trust and reform internal processes, all under a very bright, very public spotlight.
So wrapping this up, what have we learned from this deep dive into Qantas? We've seen a massive cyber attack hitting millions, a swift public move to penalize top executives. Then, that surprising backdrop of soaring profits, and finally, that crucial detail about how those penalties actually affected or didn't affect overall compensation.
Yeah.
It's definitely a complex picture of how a corporation responds to these modern challenges.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And ultimately, this whole incident just spotlights that ongoing tension every major corporation faces. It's that delicate balancing act, delivering strong financial results, maintaining robust security, and fostering genuine accountability and customer trust.
Yeah.
It's a complex equation, really, with no easy answers, especially when those different factors often seem to pull in opposite directions, sometimes even undermining each other without anyone really saying it out loud.
So here's a thought for you, the listener. When you next see those headlines about executive penalties after some corporate failure, maybe look past the announced forfeiture amount.
Dig a little deeper.
Ask yourself, what was their total compensation change that year? Did it go up, down, stay flat? Our Qantas deep dive suggests that maybe a truer measure of accountability isn't just in the penalty itself, but in the executive's final overall take-home pay. It's definitely a lens worth applying next time you see a company trying to manage a crisis. Something to mull over.